know that you are a producer at CNN, but can you tell me a little bit more about your work and what it is that you do there?
Yes. So right now I am a line producer, and what that means is that I'm in charge of wrangling reporters, pitching stories. Uh, I am, we pitch stories, I wrangle reporters, I'm writing stories, I'm writing intros. I'm basically making sure I take the show to air. Everything that we prep for like 4 or 5 plus hours, once it gets to the control room, then it's my job to make sure that I'm laying the tracks to keep the show on the road, basically.
Wow, that sounds like a big responsibility.
It is,
Yeah.
especially when you prep a show for like 5 hours for one thing, and then at like 15 minutes until your airtime, everything changes, which happens a lot. So, and you still have to make sure that everything, that the show goes on air and off air, on time and yeah, on time, basically.
It sounds exciting, Sarah.
It
I
can be
gotta say, yeah.
exciting too. Yes.
I kind of was looking at your LinkedIn page too, and it looks like you've kind of been all over the U.S., haven't you? Working different
Yeah.
chapters. Yeah.
Yes. So I started in Saginaw, Michigan. I'm from Detroit originally, so it wasn't that far from home. I was in Michigan for about 2.5 years, and then I ended up in San Francisco. Went to San Francisco, and that was through NABJ, which is National Association of Black Journalists. They are always looking for producers. People will tell you at all these conventions, they're always looking for producers. And I made a connection there, followed up at the end of my contract in Michigan, ended up in San Francisco. And I started out as a writer, then was promoted to producer there, line producer, had my own show. And actually in San Francisco, I was able to pitch, like launch a new show on Sundays where it was kind of like a three anchor show, and that was completely new. And I had a lot of I was real hands on in forming that show, and that was a lot of responsibility. And I was still young. I was like 23, 24, something like that. But that was a lot of fun. It was also really great weather. From San Francisco, I moved to DC and started as a writer there, and then was producing a weekend morning show. DC was different because, and these are all like, so Saginaw was market 66, San Francisco was market 6. So as a producer, your growth and like you're on the fast track, really. You don't have to go, to all those different market jumps that you have to. But that was, so I went from 66 to 6, and then DC also top 10, was producing there. And then from DC, I got married and I moved to New York. And in New York, New York is number one. And there I started as a writer and also promoted to producer, and started working on some special projects, special programs in New York. And these are all local. This is all at the local level at this time. So local stations, CBS, NBC's. And then from New York, that's when I got the call about CNN to move here, to move to Atlanta as a writer. And within a year's time, I was also promoted to line producer, which is what I'm doing now. And I've been able to work on a couple different shows, and I've also been able to see the difference from like local to the national level, like cable news, which is a different beast in itself. But it does help that I had that foundation of being at the local station. Absolutely, it helped.
Wow, Sarah. I mean, it's just amazing. You've really done a lot. If I remember right, you're just a 2010 alumni, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Boy,
yeah,
you have a lot of experience underneath your belt in those last 10, 11 years. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Well, Sarah, can I ask you, what do you feel like what have you felt like it's been to be a woman in your field?
I felt a lot of different things, but mostly the word that comes to my mind right now is supported. Because at every step I've seen women, I've worked around women, and I had mentors at all these different stations. Um, so, and there's always been a camaraderie at these different places. What I have noticed also is that, I've I haven't in local, I didn't have a the news director was never a woman. So I never had a woman who was a news director. I've had some women managers, but not at that very top level. So I will say that has been interesting, but I never saw that and didn't think that I couldn't do it, because I've always had very strong, capable women around me, encouraging me in these positions and knowing that, okay, that's the next step and then that's the next level. Okay, got it. So, and then also because I started so young, I do remember I have this one vivid memory of being young and being a woman. And then also being an African American woman. I remember thinking I'm so young, I have to put my hair back into a ponytail so that I don't look so young. I remember thinking, being very aware of my appearance and that I don't look too young as a woman, and so that I can be taken seriously. And then also there's always that balance of finding your voice, because it is male dominated. All nearly all of my directors were have been men, and that's a position where I have not come across a lot of women who are directing. And when I say directing, I mean putting the show on air for millions of people to watch,
Right.
which is a very important job. It's a critical job, and so there aren't many women in that role. But that role and the producer's role is very in sync, because I have to give direction to the director. And
Sure.
these people have always been male and very veteran at their jobs. So for me, I've always had to find my voice and be confident in it and be assertive, which sometimes doesn't feel comfortable. It can feel uncomfortable. So as a woman, feel like I've had to be comfortable being uncomfortable in some situations. And when I say uncomfortable, I mean pushing myself to do things out of the norm. So I think overall that's how it has felt to be a woman, and then also just to be a black woman. Um, I remember being the only one in my San Francisco newsroom. And that changed once from DC to New York, and to here. And in my current role, I see so many people that look like me in managerial roles too. So it's been encouraging. So I see change. So I'm very aware that I'm a woman, but now I've gotten comfortable being uncomfortable and knowing, okay, I have to push here or how to push here. It's a lot of mental Olympics sometimes. It's mental Olympics.
I can imagine. Wow. Well, Sarah, do you think that you have been treated differently because you're a woman? And if so, in what ways? I mean, you talk about how you wanted to like dress the part. So it was it more just because you were younger that you thought you had to dress a certain way so you could be taken more seriously, or was it more because you were, a woman in that role?
Honestly, I don't think I can separate the two. I think it was because I was a young woman in that role, honestly. Um, because I'm fresh, yeah, what do they call it? Fresh face, I'm green is what they called it. Um, and and maybe that was just something in my own head, but I just thought and I was getting questions about my hair, and just I wanted to look the part of being older, and so that you could respect me as a older woman or a woman in my position. I'm trying to think of some other examples though, Bonnie, about how I've felt different as a woman. Honestly, it's in the control room. That in the control room is really where I feel like you are made as a producer. And in that control room, so many things can go right and left. And you have to have a voice. You cannot be quiet. So, there's sometimes you may think, or I may have thought that, oh, he's talking over me because I'm a woman, but it's really just finding that groove of not taking things so personally. Like I have to constantly remind myself not to take things personally. But you really have to find your voice as a woman, because this there are a lot of men in the control rooms. Like in every control room I've been in, mostly men. And so being comfortable being a woman in that space, and it's really just doing your job. Like if I'm doing my job, like it's not like they're having conversations around me. It's really just doing my job. Like, hey, we need to take this VO now. And communicating urgency, communicating what I need, and being assertive in that. So I'm trying to I'm trying to think back to like my previous jobs of when I really may have experienced something else, but nothing nothing pops out right now. I mean, I've been challenged before by talent. Um, but uh-oh, can you see my picture?
I can, yeah.
Oh, okay. I lost something else popped up on my computer. I'm sorry. I've been challenged before, but I don't know if it was because I was a woman. I don't know. Some just me speaking personally. Sometimes I don't know if I'm being challenged because I'm young, because I'm a woman, or because I'm black. So that's what I. That's the mental Olympics that I talk about. What I'm trying to figure, like what I have to figure out, but also that I'm telling myself not to take it personal.
Right, right. Very interesting, Sarah. Can you tell me, how have you been supported by other women in your field?
You said
Is it,
how have I been supported?
yeah,
I mean, anything from if I'm having a bad day, and when I say having like a bad day could be, I forgot to write a tease or something. It's something very small to big. I've always had people that I could talk to and will talk me off the ledge. That will talk me back into you're doing good. Focus on this, and will also give me like honest feedback, and will recommend me to you should try this program because I was in the Pointer Leadership cohort. So and there were a lot of women in that. So I've been able to find mentors at every single place that I've been at, but also I'm also aware that I need to be a mentor to other people there. I see people now where I'm at now and I'm like I want to see you grow because people have done that for me. Um whether it's like a group chat or if it's really just pulling me aside and just telling me, hey, probably work on this or look over my resume or do a practice interview with me for the next job that I'm interviewing for, or even just recommending me. Um, that's the women I've come across mostly have been supportive every single like because we're in this together. And there are also women employee resource groups, and I would say I take advantage of those because I don't know. I guess I'm just to me it's like second nature. Like I'm here for you, sis. That's what it is. Like we're we really are in this together, especially when I see somebody talented. I'm reaching out to them to make sure to because somebody did it for me. So I have a responsibility to do it for others.
that's nice, Sarah. So it's almost like you're paying it forward. Like you can see somebody kind of stuck in the same predicament that you were at one time. And so you
Exactly.
can reach out and help them.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Sarah, how would you like to see the industry involved as it relates to your genderism?
I would like to see, I guess I feel like I'm seeing the seeds of change, women in leadership roles. And just letting us, I guess we all have such a diverse background. Mothers, no children, single mothers, just married. For all we come from so many different backgrounds, and I just think that it's the industry wide. We should elevate these backgrounds and I guess honor them and respect them, and then also prioritize them. It's important for people to bring their whole selves to work, to their jobs, because that's what I was hired at. You hired me for me, and I am unique in a way that such and such is not, but they also bring something too. So if I don't bring my whole self to work, then I feel like I'm not doing my whole job. And that means me being black, me being from Detroit, me living in all these different places, me wearing my natural hair, me being married, all these different things that make me me. I feel a responsibility to bring to the job. So I just think the industry wide that we need to honor that and the talent that we have, and honor it as talent, really, because it's part of who we are.
What a great way to look at that. I love it. How about, do you have any advice for female students who are pursuing the same field that you have pursued? And again, you got a major BCA, correct? With
Yes.
a minor in leadership.
Yes. Yep. So I would say, I guess piggybacking on what I just said, I would tell every student to first of all mentors, like get you a mentor, somebody in your field, somebody outside of your field too, to give you another perspective on how to work and be in a work environment, how to work with people. But definitely get a mentor and reach out to them. Don't be afraid to reach out. Just reach out. And then also for this field, you have to I feel like I pay my dues, right? That is going to be different for everybody what they consider paying your dues, but I feel like you have to do it, and at every step ask what can I learn from this. What can I learn from this? There are going to be some shifts you don't want to work, some stories you don't want to write, some people you don't want to work with, but ask what can I learn from this to get you to the next spot, like to the next step, because this is temporary. And then also, I would say again, bring your full selves to work. Like, bring your full selves to the job. I will never forget that one, it was during the BET Awards. It's a BET Award. And I watched it because I watch all the award shows. And I had my boss at the time was a white male, and we did the whole show that morning, and I didn't mention the BET Awards, and it was a big thing that happened during the award show. There's a major speech, and afterwards he pulled me aside and he said, why didn't you bring that up, the BT words, like we that could have, been a moment in the show. And I didn't bring it up because I was like, oh well, that's my interest. I didn't think that it was newsworthy, but it absolutely was. And it just was a reminder to me, and he was encouraging me to be myself in my job, be myself in my role. And it was encouraging, and that's what they hired me for. They hired me to be me and bring all of me to the job. So you just have to balance, there's some kind of balance of how much you share, how much you bring, how loud you want to be with yourself in the role, but you absolutely have to bring those experiences to the job.
What good advice, Sarah. That is wonderful advice.
Thank
Is there
you.
any is there anything else that you would like to share before we end the interview?
I'm just trying to think. I just being a producer or being in news in this industry in news, you just have to adapt. You have to adapt. Find a way to be comfortable with change, because change is going to happen. And talk to some people that look like you, talk to some people that don't look like you, because you want to pull in experiences and knowledge from different sources. So do that and be great. Like, don't be afraid. Be fearless, even though you will be scared.
Oh, what good advice, Sarah. You are wise beyond your years. That is good stuff.